Hey everyone, this is John Gillie, founder and CEO of TruckTractorTrailer.com. Thanks for tuning into our Stream podcast. Stream is a TruckTractorTrailer.com production that serves to educate our trucking community with experts providing real-life insights to help you run your business, navigate your professional journey, or simply spark a new idea. Today, I'm joined by Lewie Pugh, Executive Vice President of the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association. Since 1973, the OOIDA has fought to defend the rights of truckers and advocate on their behalf in DC, at the state level, and in the courts. 2023 marks 50 years of dedication to this mission. Today is the second of several conversations we have planned with Lewie, and we feel incredibly fortunate to have him here with us today to talk about just two of the very hot topics that OOIDA is focused on today. Number one is truck parking. Number two is EPA emissions regulations for heavy-duty trucks. Hey, Lewie, how are you, my friend? Let's jump right into it if I can.
Yep, I'm doing well. Thank you.
All right, great. Good to see you. What is the current state of truck parking for independent owner-operators today?
Well, the current state of parking for not only independent owner operators, but even company drivers is pretty bad. I mean, some private fleet guys, they can park maybe at their location sometimes, but just for truckers in general, right now they say there's one safe spot for every 11 trucks. So that's really not good at all. I mean, it's just, it continually gets worse. We continually see this trend for the last couple of years. And I mean, this is something OOIDA has been fighting for 20 or 30 years now. I always say 18, 19 years ago, the first time I ever went to DC for OOIDA and as a trucker was on truck parking, and it's just progressively gotten worse and worse and worse. But there are some good things coming, as far. There is some legislation hanging out there, H.R. 2367 and Senate Bill 1034, the Truck Parking Safety Improvement Act. Okay. The House bill's through committee and on the floor. We're just waiting to get a vote on the floor for it. Senate bill is working its way through committee and should get out. These bills are actually bipartisan, and they actually mirror each other in language. So that's sort of like Moses opening up the sea to let us get through, because that's almost impossible in today's political climate. Lawmakers are actually starting to mention that there's a problem. Notice I testified back, I think in May about this, and a lot of questions about it, a lot of support. Unfortunately, been a couple of people hold out because of their budgetary concerns and stuff like that. And I respect that. I appreciate that as a conservative person, but this is something that really needs to be done. And we can give billions of dollars to FMCSA and law enforcement to write tickets to truck drivers for violating hours of service or for not being parked in the right place. If we can do that, we'll be able to give some money out. 775 million is what we're asking for to put places for these people to park. I mean, the accident we saw in Illinois now 2 months ago proves how necessary and how unsafe not having safe parking can be.
No doubt. I'm broadcasting today from Albany, New York, and coming up from New York City the other day. It's not lost on me, just driving up the Northway. Truckers parked on the side of the Northway, and they're doing that is because there's no parking availability for them. There's no spots for them that's safe and accommodating, and it's just so unsafe, not just for the truck driver, but for people that are passenger vehicles that are on the road. So whether you're in a Democratic state or a Republican state, I'm glad you say it was bipartisan, because it's common sense is common sense. I mean, these guys and gals out there on the road, they need a place to park and rest. So just a lot of burden on the owner operators. It's almost like until OOIDA got involved in a big way, even 20, 30 years ago, it seems like we expect the owner operators to kind of solve their own problems, which they're really good at doing. but they need support, right? They need basic, lifestyle amenities to operate at a high level.
Yeah, that's correct. And again, I mean, like I said, this isn't just an operator problem; it's a company problem too. What is irritating to us, or frustrating, maybe is a better word, is the big fleets and stuff. They're finally ATA got involved last year, which was great and fantastic. But big fleets have for so long just sort of turned a blind eye because their drivers are out there and they don't really care. It's sad to say, but it's up to their driver to find a safe place to park. And if they don't, then the driver's in trouble. So, but you bring up a good point. New York, the whole Northeast. I trucked up there for years, and it's that's picturesque of the parking shortage of anywhere. I mean, parking's at a premium on the Northeast, New York City and on up, and even down through Jersey and Delaware, Maryland. Those places are really, really bad. There's not a lot of capacity, but there's lots of capacity of trucks. Lots of trucks come in this area, and people have to educate their local people. And this is why I tell drivers, you have to watch your local politics, because what happens, and what the biggest holdup we see a lot of times, truck stops and different people want to expand, or they want to build a truck stop in an area, but the locals, the NIMBYs, not my backyard folks, they come in with all kinds of reasons why they want to have them. Now, they want their goods and they want their stuff, but they don't want the trucks. They want the trucks to sneak in the middle of the night and sneak out in the middle of the night, which is what the truckers would like to do too. Right. Unfortunately, that's just not real world problem. So, and that's why I always tell drivers, you got to reach out to your local politicians, your state, because so many times, especially on the local level, the NIMBYs will come out to a council meeting or something like that and stop, and there's not even a trucker there voicing it. And, I never had a truck parking problem where I lived either. It was somewhere else. And it's one of these things that trucking we have to do to help each other. I got to worry about truck parking in my area to help a brother trucker that's 2 states or a state away, and they need to do the same for me. And we all need to do that. But the other thing we do need to do as truckers and as businesses, and anybody listening to this, you need to pick up your phone and call your elected official or send them an email and tell them to support HR 2367 or Senate Bill 1034. OOIDA makes it really, really easy for folks. If you can't remember this, just remember fightingfortruckers.com. If you go to that website, fightingfortruckers.com, all the information's there. You can actually shoot a message to your lawmaker right from that site. It takes 2 minutes. I tell people you can go on there and you can file a comment or send a message to a lawmaker faster than you can go on social media and complain about it. And right. At least this is something that will be proactive and help. But, it's Senate Bill 1034, House Bill 2367. It's very important to contact lawmakers, ask it, because what it's going to do is set aside $775 million that has to go to parking. Doesn't for signage, it's not for studies or any of that stuff we've seen in the past. It's to put parking. It's a competitive bid process, local, state, federal, whatever. They can use land to do it. Even private people can use it. Mm-hmm. Like if a truck stop wants to expand, they can, but they have to go through their local government to get the money. And the thing is, I tell people, if they get money to increase parking with this, it has to be free. They can't charge you, because that's become a new cash cow for truck stops. And hey, I get it, parking lots are expensive, but they've realized there's a need, and when there's a need for something, there's always a profit. Right. And so we're seeing lots and lots of truck stops go to pay for parking.
Well, hot topic there, Lewie, and our promise to you on that is that before we broadcast this out and distribute this podcast, we'll make sure that we have proper linkage to those Senate and House bills that you mentioned, and also Fighting for Truckers and also the OOIDA website. We'll make sure it's well communicated. You're more than welcome. I want to flip the switch here because I know we only have a few minutes. And this next topic is an emerging topic, perhaps not emerging, but it's slowly coming. And in our position, trucktractortrailer.com, the way we're positioned in the market, we can see the oncoming wave, the tidal wave that's coming for EPA emissions regulations, and also the challenges, the burden that we're going to be placing on these independent owner operators, who, oh, by the way, don't have a staff of 50 people. They don't have a staff person that is focused on government relations. They really depend on us and the OOIDA to educate and inform them on what they need to do to prepare for this wave of regulations and requirements and restrictions. And not only that, but also reinvestment in equipment. It is, I think, Lewie, you know that we, trucktractortrailer.com, we consult with certain agencies and state level. And so we see it. And quite honestly, it scares me. It just scares me what's going to be happening to our independent owner operators. What's your take on this? What are you guys thinking about? How can we help?
Well, I mean, the same thing we went through. We've been down this road before as an industry. EPA has been down this road as a governing body.
Yeah.
They need to start listening to the people that buy these products, run these products, and manufacture these products. And unfortunately, they don't seem to do that. And it's just like the new NOx rule that's supposed to come out 2027 we have to follow. This was rushed as usual. We don't even know if it's going to work. We don't know what the real world effect's going to be. These were the same problems that happened with the 2011. And what ended up happening was the end user, the trucking companies and the small business truckers, myself included, out of 2012. So I'm well aware of how this all played out. We ended up with a bunch of stuff, and we ended up being guinea pigs for something. Now, here we are, 10, 11 years later, and it seems like they finally are getting it to where it works and it's dependable, I guess you could say. But it's just so frustrating because in 2018, when EPA announced a new round of this back in 2018, I went to Washington myself. American Trucking Association was there, Cummins, Diesel, COT, Detroit, all the people that are going to be part of this, all the manufacturers and stuff like that, end user representatives, everything. And we sat there and we had a conversation. At the time, it was Secretary Wheeler was in charge of EPA, and he said, we're going to listen to industry. We're not going to do to you guys what we did to you the last time. We promise. Well, things change. I'm not trying to be political, but now that's all went out the window. We, as an association, we had long, hard conversations with EPA. And there's good people at EPA. Don't get me wrong. There's some people there that are actually end users of these products as well. There's a lady there who has a farm up in Michigan, and her husband owns trucks, and she gets it. And she's very much a proponent of the stuff that we were for, things we were asking for, extended warranty, better diagnostics, different stuff like that you need on this stuff to kind of cut the costs. And unfortunately, this stuff was all just given a blind eye. And it's very sad. Trucks are very common. And me personally, and I think OOIDA, we wonder what kind of effect it's going to have, because if they force this down, we saw this happen in 2011, and we're going to continue to see it, is truckers, especially small guys, they're not going to buy this stuff. They're going to continue to use their old trucks, rebuild their old trucks. I mean, that's the beauty of a truck and a diesel motor. You can just continue, unless you have catastrophic engine failure, you can continue to rebuild these and make them run. And that's what guys will do, because, again, we saw in 2011 is that they weren't worth it. The price went up $15,000, $20,000 on a truck. The downtime, the brake, I mean, it put so many people bankrupt. And smart owner operators aren't going to take that chance. They're not going to be guinea pigs again. And we have to make this stuff work, and it has to work right. Truckers want clean air. We all want clean air. Yeah. We have to have clean air, but we have to do it smart and wisely. I've always asked, and I always get the deer in the headlights. I said, in 2011, when we passed this law, did we really help or did we not? Because the fuel mileage went to crap on these trucks. I went from a truck that looked shaped like a brick getting 7 miles a gallon to an aerodynamic truck that was getting like 6. We had to buy DEF now. So now, we go back to the oil. We're drilling more oil, refining more oil, hauling more oil to power the same amount of trucks. Then we have to add the DEF factor into this. So you have to do whatever you do to make DEF and get the urea and all that stuff. Then we have plastic jugs everywhere that they put this stuff in, the DEF. You see them laying everywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and then we get into the trucks themselves, which were broke down all the time. Parts, constantly changing parts. So more parts going to landfill, more metal or steel or plastic having been made to make all these parts to try to keep these trucks on the road. Then let's face it, the trucks weren't efficient and you couldn't depend on them. So I feel like we had to manufacture more trucks and get more trucks out there on the road to make more congestion to do the same amount of work we were doing with the trucks pre-2011. So when you figure all these things in, did we really help things? I mean, again, trucks, electronic engines made emissions a long way. You didn't have the black smoke and all that stuff in these newer trucks after 2020 or 2000, I'm sorry. And they were very dependable. Trucks prior to 2011 from about 1990, say 5 on, were very dependable. The engines were dependable, 1,000,000-mile motors all the time. It was crazy. Fuel mileage got great. We didn't have all the black smoke and all that stuff that we had out of the old mechanical. And again, I'm all about making things better and doing better and cleaning the air and doing the things the right way. But we have to do it the right way. Free market seems to work the best, in my opinion. Guidelines, but free market. But we can't do this on the backs of the working men and the blue collar people. There isn't that much profit in trucking. There just isn't.
That's right. Well, all good points, Lewie. And as mentioned, we'll promise to get the word out. I think we have our next episode topic, and I think it's right around clean energy and helping independent owner operators stay in the game to make some sense of it all, and also to prepare for the future. So I would love to have you back on the next time. We'll talk deeper about it, and we can, share more stories and really compare notes, and to help those independent owner operators out there and those small trucking companies.
Always a pleasure, and thanks for having me on, John. And anytime I'd like to come back on. And all you truckers out there, thanks for what you do, and be safe.
Thanks, Lewie. And really great catching up with you. And to our trucking community, please reach out if we can be of service. You can find Lewie on the OOIDA.com website, via LinkedIn. Both Lewie and I are fairly active on LinkedIn, and other social media as well. Or simply go to trucktractortrailer.com, click on the OOIDA button at the bottom of our homepage. It'll take you right into their website. Thanks for joining us today. Have fun, make some money, be safe out there. So long.